Well, hi, hello, and how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I really, I'm getting grief from the printer already. Good grief. This show is already off the rails. Hi, how are you doing out there? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to the Wednesday night newsroom, that fun little thing we do where we get together, we talk about the news, we give our views, and we try to make sense out of this crazy thing that we call life. And I tell you what, today has been crazier than most. Crazy and sad and all kinds of wrong, and we're going to get into all that here in just a minute. Anyway, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes known as the fine fella in the fedora. On occasion, I'm called the wise guy in the wide brim, sometimes known as the common man with common sense. But in this moment, as always, I am your host. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you would not mind, please do me some favors as always. If you are not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do so. And while you're at it, hit the thumbs up button on YouTube and Rumble and leave a comment in chat. Believe it or not, those little things right there will do a lot to push this channel out to people who maybe have never seen us before. Share the link around with your friends. Hit the bell for notifications. We always want to make sure that you're fully aware when new material is coming out, be it a video or a live stream. And we're going to see who's already here in the house tonight. Lovely Miss Lana is here. Mwah. Hello, darling. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Robert Lowry is always in the house. Boom. A fist bump to you, my brother. And oh my goodness, those OG wingnuts over on Rumble, they're already settling in. They've dropped memes, they've dropped comments, they've dropped dildos. Oh wait, I mean comments and memes. Oh my goodness, let's see who else here. WWG1 is in the house doing his thing. TBA is here. Salty old fart is throwing in on the memes, and he's throwing down with them. Oh my goodness, I tell you what, that man cannot, neither one of them, I tell you what, WWG1 nor old Salty can be stopped. I'll tell you what, they are both bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. I tell you the truth. Something else. Anyway, we're glad to hear and see from all of you tonight. And yeah, I'm gonna change up the order ever so slightly of what we do here. Normally, I start the live stream with the merry memes, and I'm going to refrain on that, especially given the events that have taken place in Minneapolis today. There's a lot going on, and I think we just need to just dive right into it, because I just don't, I mean, just as a matter of good taste, I don't think doing the memes would be quite appropriate given the first story we're going to lead off with, which, as you might expect, we're going to talk about what happened in Minneapolis. I mean, there's just no getting around that one. But yeah, let's just dive right in. I've got the story here. Grab my stack of stuff from the Associated Press. And we're going to talk about what the press is talking about, and then we're going to probably get into a discussion of what the press is not telling you, which to me, from a purely news standpoint, okay, I think today is quite the day. If you want to see that the old mainstream media is truly dead, this is the day to prove it. And I mean that sincerely. Because the mainstream media, the Associated Press, the news networks, the newspapers, the websites, thehill.com, Politico, etc., are all focusing on X certain things, yet they're not telling you about why it's happening. And that's kind of what I want to do tonight. I mean, maybe not, we're not going to figure out exactly why it happened, but we're going to focus on some stuff that the press just won't do, and they won't get near it. They will not talk about it. And furthermore, they won't talk about the similarity between this event and others just like it. And things are starting to develop into a common pattern here. So let's start with the Associated Press. Headline: a shooting in a Minneapolis Catholic school kills 2 children, injures 17. Article by Steve Karnowski, Mark Van Cleve, and Giovanna Delroto. We have the following. Dateline, Minneapolis. A shooter opened fire with a rifle Wednesday through the windows of a Catholic church in Minneapolis and struck children celebrating Mass during the first week of school, killing 2, wounding 17 in an act of violence the police chief called absolutely incomprehensible. Well, I disagree with his assessment ever so slightly, but okay, whatever. Armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol, 23-year-old Robin Westman. Now, hold on to that name, folks. Just hold on to that. And we'll come back to it here in a minute. Robin Westman approached the side of the church and shot dozens of rounds through the windows toward the children sitting in the pews during Mass at the Annunciation Catholic School just before 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said at news conferences. He said the shooter then died by suicide. The children who died were 8 and 10 years old. 14 other kids and 3 of their octogenarian parishioners were wounded but expected to survive, the chief said. Continuing a little bit further into this article, 5th grader Weston Halsey told reporters he ducked for the pews, covering his head, shielded by a friend who was laying on top of him. His friend was hit, he said. Quote, I was super scared for him, but I think now he's okay, the 10-year-old said, adding that he was praying for the other hospitalized children and adults. Halsey's grandfather, Michael Simpson, said the violence during Mass on the 3rd day of school left him wondering whether God was watching over. Quote, I don't know where he is, Simpson said. Wow. This stuff absolutely is gonna, I mean, this stuff breaks the heart. I mean, let's just pause for a second here and stop and consider. You have kids going to school. They're sitting there minding their own business. And from outside of the building that they're in, which in this case it happened to be a church, someone starts shooting through the window, sprays up the place, injures almost 20 people, kills 2 kids. All they were doing was going to school this day, celebrating the religion that they practice, getting ready for classes, what have you. Just trying to live their lives. And now a 10-year-old kid has to report that a buddy was laying over top of him and was injured in the gunfire. These kids, their parents, their grandparents, the school, they will never be the same again. Whatever innocence that they still enjoyed is now ripped away. Oh, well, we're getting to this. Hang on, Lana. We're getting to this, darling. TBA over on Rumble says, I heard it was a tranny. Another such incident. Again, hold that thought. Y'all hold. I mean, see, again, this is why you guys are without doubt the best audience in the whole of the internet. I love you guys. Absolutely love you. Okay. So that's one article. Now, and by the way, the press isn't necessarily wrong in so much as what they're reporting. In so much as what they're reporting, they're not necessarily wrong. They're just not telling you everything. Okay? With that in mind, let us go to another article. This one is from thehill.com. And this one, again, completely and totally factual. Headline: FBI is investigating Minnesota school shooting as a hate crime against Catholics. Article by Brett Samuels, very respected journalist in the D.C. area, and he writes the following. The FBI is investigating Wednesday's shootings in Minnesota as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Roman Catholics, Director Kash Patel said. Patel confirmed the suspected shooter was identified as Robin Weissman, who Patel and other top administration officials identified as transgender. Quote, the shooter has been identified as Robin Westman, a male-born Robert Westman. And again, hold on to this piece of information because we're going to get into some stuff here. The FBI will continue to provide updates on our ongoing investigation with the public as we are able. Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem said Westman targeted our most vulnerable young children praying in their first morning mass of the school year. And again, Samuel's article goes on to give some more details and notes that the White House has ordered flags to be lowered to half-staff to honor the victims in shooting. Okay. And again, another article, Brett Samuels, otherwise good reporter. Okay. I got no beef with Brett Samuels in all this. Now, as you all are already bringing up the point, and as Brett Samuels kind of let the cat out of the bag, can we now start talking about what the press is willing to ignore? Can we please now start bringing up the fact, certain piece of information that, again, up to this point, nobody wants to talk about? For example, can we get into this? Did you happen to know? Oh, matter of fact, this audience, I have no doubt, knew about it. But for those of you out there watching in internet land, headline, suspected Minnesota shooter's rifle magazine had the words, "Kill Donald Trump" inscription. Again, by Brett Samuels. Suspected shooter who killed 2 children in a Minnesota church on Wednesday wrote incendiary messages on gun magazines, including one that read, "Kill Donald Trump." The images appeared in a manifesto posted online around the same time as the shooting Wednesday morning. Oh, and by the way, folks, that manifesto, you can't find it online anymore. It's been taken down, which the police did that. We'll get to that momentarily. The manifesto included a lengthy written note from the suspected shooter as well. The video has been taken down from YouTube as of late Wednesday afternoon. The video also showed messages written on rifle magazines that said, "For the children" and "Where is your God?" The level of violence is unthinkable, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said in a post on social media, Twitter, where she discussed the messages, "Our deepest prayers, While local police, now listen to this, have said they do not know as of yet a motive, FBI Director Kash Patel said the Bureau is investigating this as a hate crime. Yeah, and if you're wondering what those inscriptions look like, hang on, folks. We've got pictures. Yeah, here's a picture of the suspect, who is now dead, committed suicide. This is Robert Westman. And I'm just like Lana on this point. I'm not backing off of this. This was a person who was born as a man. He is still, or was up until the time he killed himself, still a man. Okay? Now, that's who did all this. Here are the inscriptions written on the magazines, things like, "Where is your God? Suck on this." Various other wonderful, lovely, caring, kind messages. Okay. Oh, but it gets better. It gets better, ladies and gentlemen. Not that there's any really good thing to come out as I'm being horribly sarcastic. I freely admit that up front. Okay. Freely admit it. There's more. If you thought that some of what up to this point's been pretty good, oh, just wait. This is about to get real interesting. We've got statements from the Chief of Police, Brian O'Hara, and the Mayor, Jacob Fry. Oh, no. Get ready, because your blood's going to boil and your brain's going to explode. This is the statement from the chief of police answering the question, do you have an idea of what the motive might have been? Listen to this.
So the question was on a possible motive and a relationship to the church or to the school. I have no information to share on a motive other than saying, again, that there was some sort of manifesto that was timed to come out on YouTube. It's been taken down, and our investigators are going through that to try and develop a motive from that. Additionally, there are these 3 search warrants happening in residential locations, and we may very well, find more information or writings that could give some sense to that, but we don't have that now. And I cannot confirm a relationship between the suspect or his family and this church at this time, but that's obviously something we're looking very closely at.
Really? We can't confirm any. We have no idea what this guy's motive is. Yes, I said guy. That's not a woman. Okay? Like that old Aretha Franklin song, he might feel like a natural woman, but he's still a man. Okay? And we have no idea any relationship between this young man, his family, and the church. Really? Oh, God bless. Ooh. I might lose it tonight. Hang on a minute, folks. Hang on just a second here. Do. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Hang on, folks. Yep, there's no relationship, none whatsoever. Nope, not a thing, nothing. No idea what the connection might be between this young man and his family and the. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a tweet. On Sunday, we honor Mary Grace Westman, who is retiring from Annunciation. She's provided such wonderful hospitality and friendship. She worked for the church. She worked for the very church this guy went in and shot up and killed people in. Really? We have no idea. The internet can figure this out inside of God knows how many hours, and the police department has no idea what's going on. Guys, I'm probably going to blow a gasket before this is over with tonight. His mother worked at the church in some form or capacity. Hang on a minute. Now I got to find the full tweet. Now I'm just, oh my Lord. Church of the Annunciation. Hang on a minute. When was this? That's back in 2021. Too far for me to go out and get it. But I mean, it's not that hard to figure out, folks. Okay? And by the way, I said you're probably going to get mad when you hear some of the statements that are coming out about this tonight. Oh, get ready, because here's going to be the coup de grace. Okay. Now, the police chief mentioned in his statement, I'll get to Jacob Fry's quote here in a minute. The police chief mentioned that the manifesto was up on YouTube and they took it down, which I can kind of understand that. That's standard police work. But as far as what was in some of it, this is from the UK Daily Mail. A now deleted YouTube account believed to belong to Annunciation Church shooter Robert Westman shared what appeared to be a written manifesto addressed to family and friends just hours before the shooting. The video appeared to show a drawing of the church. It then showed someone stabbing the drawing repeatedly as he quietly says, "I'm going to kill myself." Another disturbing drawing showed the shooter strapped with a gun, looking into the mirror with at a horned monster of sorts. On one page of the manifesto, Westman wrote down a list of bands and artists I'd like enough to write down. On another clip posted to the YouTube account. He shows gun parts, a semi-automatic rifle, and a shotgun. The gun magazines had the names of other mass shooters written on them. And again, phrases like, "For the children, where is your God?" Here are some pictures. Okay. Take a good look, folks. But the police have no idea what's going on here. Okay. Okay. Hang on a minute, folks. Oh, and by the way, if you've got news or clips related to this, hey, let me know. Tag me on Twitter, because I tried to put together as much as I could find in the time that I had from getting off work till now. And but I'm all for throwing a bone to the host. Hey, help a brother out here. I'll take all the help I can get. So yeah, if you got something, tag me on Twitter. Let me know you tag me, and we'll take a look at it. Because I'm telling you right now, this is bad on so many levels. And not just the act itself. I mean, the act in and of itself is horrible. Okay? Just absolutely awful. But what makes it even worse is when you walk outside and someone says, "My, isn't that a wonderful suit of clothing that the emperor has on?" And you're standing there looking at the emperor and you say, "Suit of clothes, my rear end, that man's naked as Jaybird." In other words, someone's insulting your intelligence by trying to tell you not to believe what you see with your own eyes. And that's what makes me, one of the things that makes me so angry about this, aside from the loss of life of two wonderful children, the injury to countless others, the fact that these kids' innocence is absolutely ripped away in one act of one deranged lunatic. Okay? I mean, all that's bad enough. Now you've got the press and the politicians out in Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota, because Tim Walz and Amy Klobuchar and all the rest of them ain't far behind on this one. Okay? Everybody's circling the wagons and trying to tell you and me and everybody else, no. Don't you believe what you see with your lying eyes. No. Don't you come to the conclusions that you ought to come to. Naturally, you believe what we tell you, doggone it, because we know better than you what you need to see and hear. Okay? Yeah, right. Hang on a minute. I'm going to grab this. Oh my goodness. It's about 10 minutes. I will try and put some of this up here. Give me 1 second, folks. Hang on. Let me get this pulled up as best I can here. This is a tweet, and it's got part of the video in it. Okay. Let me see if I can. Okay. Allegedly, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong here for showing this, but it's a 10-minute video. I will play part of it. And this, this is allegedly from the shooter himself. Well, I don't know how much I am either, but hey, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So give me 1 second, folks. I'll play a little bit of this, just if for no other reason to give you an idea of this young man's state of mind where he did himself in. Here we go.
Note to my family and shit. Wow, some English writing. Wow. Hope you can read that. Yeah. Peace, love, unity, and guns. Fuck.
Okay. And again, I mean, it's a 10-minute video, but this gives you some idea of the state of mind of this young man. Okay. This is just flat bad. Just bad. WWG1 says, who writes with a pen and paper anymore? Young people don't do that. Well, okay. Okay. They use computers. All right. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. Now, all of that sets up what the comment, and I think this is the one comment from anybody associated with this in the way of a politician. This is the one that may make me the most angry. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, okay, is addressing the press. It runs about 40 seconds. Folks, I'm not even going to try and set it up. Here you go.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids. All of us.
You gaslighting, bottom feeding, scum sucking SOB. We know that Robert Westman identified as a woman. That makes him transsexual. Or in his mind, he thought he was transsexual or whatever. But he identified as trans. Okay? Cut the crap. This isn't about hatred for the trans community. This is about acknowledging the obvious. And a whole bunch of obvious, might I add. Okay? I've got a tweet here from an account. It's by Josh Walkos. He's known as Champagne. Hang on a minute. He goes by the Twitter handle Champagne Joshy. Mayor Frey, no one's trying to hate on the trans community. We're just acknowledging the kind of obvious. Here's the court order that grants him going from Robert to Robin. Okay, a name change. He's the one that, was identifying himself as trans. He was doing it long before. He was doing this over 5 years ago, buddy. Okay. Complete, absolute. These are the court orders. No one's gaslighting anybody here except you guys. And this goes to what I'm talking about. The press is telling you what they want you to hear, but they're not telling you what you need to know. Let me say that again. The press is telling you what they want you to know, but not what you need to hear. They will not acknowledge the obvious. This was a trans individual using weapons, quite obviously psychologically disturbed, and went on a killing spree. And by the way, while we're at it, can we please start acknowledging the commonality of events that seems to keep happening over and over and over and over and over and over again? If you're wondering what I'm talking about, may I respectfully show you something that ought to give you pause. This is just an isolated incident. This is not indicative of anything going on. Really? It's not indicative of anything going on, huh? Well, the Denver school shooter, Devin Erickson, identified as trans. Denver school shooter Alec McKinney identified as trans. The Nashville shooter, Audrey Hale, identified as trans. The Uvalde shooter, Salvador Ramos, maybe. Iowa shooter Dylan Butler, identified as gender fluid. Philadelphia shooter Kim Brady Carricker, identified as trans. You begin to see a pattern here. Oh, you're just picking on the trans community. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm just kind of like looking around and going, huh? And I'm not even really the one looking around here. Other people far smarter than me are putting this stuff together. Okay? You want my take on what's going on here? All right, you got some psychologically disturbed individuals, number one, who are probably getting pumped full of God only knows what kind of medications that are just making them even worse. And by the way, we don't even know what the medications are because, supposedly right to privacy extends beyond the grave. Doctors will not release what they're giving these people at all. We don't know. So you got some psychologically disturbed people to begin with who are pumped full of God knows what kind of drugs and how many of them and how long they've been taking them. Their mental condition deteriorates worse and worse and worse. And then finally they snap off and go commit a crime. More often than not, a killing. And then either get themselves killed in the process or take their own life while it's happening. Can we please, as an American society, start addressing the elephant in the room? Why in God's name are we letting this madness go on? Oh, what madness am I talking about, you ask? Well, gee, how about the madness of, number one, why are we trying to transition individuals from one sex to another? And why in God's name are we enabling it with medications that not only are affecting them hormonally, but also affecting them psychologically and physically? And pumping them so full of this stuff that they finally go off the deep end and do something horrible. Evening, Brenda. Trying to get my head wrapped around this. My cousin's children in a Catholic school in White Bear Lake that is 25 minutes northeast of that church. I had to make sure which church. Oh, my goodness. Bless your heart, darling. Bless your heart. Yeah. Yeah, Jacob Fry, you're the one that knelt at the coffin of your patron, Saint George. Yep, totally. Salty old fart says SSRIs are a hell of a drug. He comments over on Rumble. Yeah. Oh, I agree, Z Highness. Hello, darling. Yeah, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. Salty old fart also says we're all getting better at putting this all together. And Salty, that's a great point I want to bring up. Thank you for that. Everybody's getting better at putting this together. One of the things, and there's no real silver lining to any of this, okay? There really is no silver lining at all to any of this, except maybe for one very small consolation, okay? A significant number of people are now, and when I say people, I don't necessarily mean folks on the right side of the political and cultural spectrum. I mean just in general. I think it's reaching the point that the commonality is happening so much and so often and so close together that even the average person who's looking at these events are going, wait a minute, what, I mean, seriously, I just, that may be because the gaslighting that the press and the politicians are trying to do over this, it ain't working. I really don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. And if ever there was a time, and I don't care if it's a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, I don't care who it is, somebody needs to step up and lead the country in a conversation about this. Now, and you know what, Robert? I'll give you that one. The fact that the FBI is willing to call this a hate crime against Roman Catholics, yeah, you're right. This never would have happened under the Biden regime. And Biden was Roman Catholic. There's a kicker for you. Not much of a Roman Catholic, in my opinion, but he was Roman Catholic. You would think if anybody wanted to be, you would think that if anybody wanted to be investigating this sort of thing, it'd be Biden. Yep. No, honey, I think you put this beautifully. I think you put it absolutely beautifully. Salty Old Fart says it's to a point that a dummy can see through the mainstream media's BS. I totally agree. TBA says under Biden, the lefties will be calling for gun control now. Oh, don't worry. They're going to start. They're going to start, which, by the way, gets to another question that I have about this. And I'm trying my best to keep the politics out of this one, out of this topic, out of this subject. I am. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be political overtones that bleed into this discussion. Not necessarily that I'm going to do it, but everybody else is going to, and not even you guys. I don't mean, when I say everybody else, I mean the political class, the chattering class, everybody else. They're going to bleed politics into this thing. Okay. There ain't no getting around that. All right. But I'm doing my best to keep the politics out of it. All right. Oh, gosh. But the only saving grace in all of this, okay? The only saving grace in all of this is that people are seeing through it. Absolutely, totally seeing through it. WWG1 says, going back to talking about the Church of the Annunciation, he says, the theology of the Annunciation centers on the angel Gabriel's announcement to the Virgin Mary that she would conceive Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit, marking the incarnation, God taking on human flesh. Key theological aspects include the incarnation as, quote, creator entering human history, end of quote, Mary's obedience and humility in accepting God's plan, the significance of Mary as the new Eve, who, yes, counters Eve's no to sin, and the reminder of God's grace and salvation through Jesus' coming in a nutshell. Well, thank you, sir, for that. I was not aware that that was the theological background as to how the Church of the Annunciation came to its name, but that's pretty deep. That is pretty deep, and thank you for that. Thank you for that indeed. Now, and going back to what I was saying, it's reached the point the average person is watching this happen, and they're sitting there going, "Hey, no way, this stuff's random." How many different people? And also, I think that this is. I also think this is something of a. Well, I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase this. A vindication of the new media. When the news of this story broke, you had people like Steve Crowder, the Quartering, among a whole host of others, okay, who were on this story and just pumping Benny Johnson, Charlie Kirk, and others, just pumping out as much information as they could and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, I was able to catch a little snippet of the InfoWars this afternoon on my lunch break, and Owen Schroyer was hosting. And 20 minutes into the broadcast, and Alex was out. His father was having surgery today. Alex broke in, and he had been in Kyle Seraphin, the FBI whistleblower, had been in contact with him. And in the first 20 minutes of their broadcast, so this would have been 12:20 in the afternoon, they had the guy's name. Maybe even before the mainstream press released it. Today was a vindication of the new media's ability to pump out news, information, and facts versus old mainstream media. Brenda says, I know people that were on multiple depression drugs that have killed themselves. No way any close relatives of mine are going on any of those. Honey, you do you. And I totally respect where you're coming from. I get it. I get it. I get it. I do. And I don't blame you a bit. I mean, how many times I want to put this chart back up here. I have a question, and this is now addressed to the mainstream media. How many times over the past God knows how many years recently, how many times does this has to happen before you guys in the mainstream press start acknowledging the pattern? Or at least that you have the intellectual curiosity to want to look into this? Or have you got your head so far up your rear end with your ideology that you can't bring yourself to do it? Oh, that's harsh. We're all about objective news. No, you're not. You surrendered that decades ago, my friend. You surrendered that decades ago. TBA said, when he's talking, well, Salty Old Fart's talking to TBA, you got to see Jeffrey's comment before the first presser. It was mentioned for gun. Jeez. You know, well, yeah, and that's a good point, Robert. That the list that I've got up here doesn't even crack the total. Doesn't even give you the total of what's going on. I mean, how long do you folks in the press have to have your head in the sand? You know, or here, let's do it another way. If you don't like that chart, try this one on for size. This was put together by social media influencer Ollie London. Minneapolis Catholic school shooter equals trans. Nashville Christian school shooter, trans. Denver STEM school shooter, trans. Aberdeen shooter, trans. Philadelphia Kensington shooter, trans. Colorado Springs shooter, non-binary. I mean, again, to the mainstream media, how many times does this have to happen? Oh, I'll play it again. Yeah. Oh, we just played it a minute ago. Matter of fact, give me a second here. I can pull it back up. One moment. Because that one's just unbelievable. But yeah, give me a second here. I'll play it. For those of you who maybe, didn't get a chance to see this, oh, folks, Jacob Fry. Yep, just let it speak for itself, folks.
All of us. And I have heard about a whole lot of hate that's being directed at our trans community.
It's not hate, Mayor Fry. It is not hate to acknowledge the obvious. People who are identifying as trans are taking weapons and going out and committing murders. Now, we can sit here and debate the reasons why. We can sit here and debate whatever you want to about it. But what I just said is a matter of factual accuracy. Individuals who are identifying as trans are taking weapons and they're going out and they're injuring and killing people. Not all people who are trans, but a significant number of them, to the point it's now a noticeable pattern. Okay? And I have no hate in my heart toward anybody who's trans or in the trans community. But it's not hate to acknowledge the obvious. It's not hate to look at the emperor and say, no, he's not wearing a nice suit of clothes. He's naked. Why is it now hate to acknowledge the obvious? We can disagree on the degree of it. We can disagree on whatever you want to about it. But to sit there and say there are individuals who are identifying as trans, who are taking weapons and going out and injuring other people and killing people, that's not hate. That, sir, is an accurate factual statement. Let us continue.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Lost their sense of common humanity? Excuse me? What about the trans individual who's lost their sense of right and wrong and their sense of common humanity, taking up weapons, going out and injuring and killing their fellow human beings? You talk about we have lost our sense of common humanity. Can we please talk about the perpetrators of these crimes? Why are we not discussing how they have lost their common sense of humanity? Oh, I'm sorry. They don't understand what that is anymore because they're so hyped up on drugs that they have really no idea where they are or what the heck they're doing. Oh, but I'm a hater because I acknowledge the painfully obvious. Unbelievable, this guy, the gaslighting. Anyway, let's finish this thing off.
We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids. All of us.
No, sir. Those of us who are pointing all this out are indeed operating from a place of love for our kids. I've said many times on this live stream, I don't have children of my own. My sister's children now have children. As a matter of fact, I watched my oldest great nephew play baseball the other night. Wonderful kid. He's 9 years old and living life. His little brother is 7. Their baby sister is 3. I could not, and they're not my kids, but I could not even begin to imagine what it would be like for me to get a phone call from either one of my nephews or my sister or my mother telling me that a school shooter took their lives. I mean, you guys have seen me go off on this live stream before. You've never seen me go full West Virginia Appalachian redneck hillbilly. That's the day you'll probably do it. God forbid it ever happen. That's the day I'm going to go, I want an eye for an eye. I want justice. Okay? That's when it will happen. Love for our children, Mayor Fry, is what is compelling many of us, to point this out and beg you folks on the other side to start having an honest conversation about this so that we try to save not just our children, but the people who are dying because of this. And when I say the people who are dying, I'm talking about the individuals who are trans. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to excuse the wrongness of their actions at all. But these people are so delusional and so pumped full of drugs and so not even aware of what they're doing or what kind of mental state they're in. These people are either killing themselves outright after they take their actions, or they're getting killed by police who are naturally responding to a shooting incident. You talk about love of common humanity. Sir, I respectfully submit to you, can we please have our love of common humanity and our love for our children by having an honest discussion about what in the world is going on here? You've got mentally disturbed individuals who are being pumped full of drugs, SSRIs in many cases, and they are so gacked out of their minds and in such bad mental condition that finally they go off the deep end. But yet somehow it's our fault. We're hating on them. No, we're trying to save their lives along with everybody else's. Can we please, sir, stop the Mayor Fry, Governor Walz, and among others? Can we please stop the gaslighting and have an honest discussion about what in the world is going on here? Or are you so hell-bent to defend this demonic practice of transitioning individuals that you will not acknowledge the horrible side effects that are happening, side effects that go beyond the individual in question who's suffering from very bad mental illness issues? I'm talking about the side effects of kids getting killed over and over and over and over and over and over again. But hey, you do you. If you want to keep defending this, you go right ahead. But guess what? The American public's not buying your BS anymore. It's happening too often. There are too many common denominators, and there's nobody buying it. Nobody. No one's buying the BS you're laying down. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Yeah. Our trans community, Jacob Fry says, nah, I'm like you, Gypsy. I am not part of the R. We went from mental health awareness to embracing the Yeah, Lana, that is a great way of putting it. An absolutely great way of putting it. Yep. And this gets to another question. And I remember this after the Nashville shooting. You know, people were asking, hey, what the doctor who was treating the Nashville shooter, what were you prescribing? Oh, I can't tell you that. Excuse me? Well, patient-doctor confidentiality. The patient's dead. Confidentiality is no longer applies in this case. What were you prescribing? Yeah, we're going to need some serious changes to laws. Serious changes to laws to get this thing fixed. And I want to go back to her comment because, by the way, Lana, salty old fart over on Rumble, yep, he's totally agreeing with you. We went from mental health awareness to embracing the diagnosis in less than a generation. And God help us, look at what it's doing. Look at what it's doing. And now you've got 2 more kids killed, almost 20 others injured, and innocence completely ripped away. And all they were doing, they got up that morning to go to school and celebrate Mass. That's it. They didn't know what was about to happen to them. They had no idea. I think, well, if Robert Kennedy got involved in this, I think that'd be a real good idea because there needs to be some serious. Somebody has got to kickstart this conversation. We can't keep blaming guns. We can't keep blaming everything else. Can we please acknowledge what's becoming painfully obvious? And I hate to sound like a broken record, but you know what? I will say it again. Can we please acknowledge the fact that you've got mentally disturbed individuals who are being pumped full of drugs to the point they finally go off the deep end and they go out and commit a heinous act. I mean, why is that so hard to say? Why is it so hard to acknowledge? Well, we can't acknowledge it because that means we're at fault. Why are we at fault? Because we permitted this stuff to happen. And what did we do? When we went from mental illness to embracing the diagnosis. That's how we're at fault. Oh, I know about this case. It's either state of Washington or state of Oregon. No, it's Oregon, and Barnes has been practicing law for years. But man, he's gotten more shocks to his system dealing with the Oregon legal system. Yeah, I know the case you're talking about. I've heard him comment about it. It's just, yeah, that's a good way of putting it, dear. We are beyond the beyond. Totally. Just, well, you know what? You know what? No, I'll say that for another day. I'll say that for another day. Hang on one second, folks. I'm reading something real fast. Yeah, I'm gonna pop. I said I would avoid the memes tonight, or maybe put them off to another occasion. But this one, Salty put this one in, and he's not wrong about this. Never seen something trigger the left more than the fact that every child killed in a mass school shooting in the last 2 years was killed by a transgender shooter. Just think about that, folks. Just think about that. Just consider that. Robert Lowry says, the sad part about the drugs could be that they are working as intended. Ooh. You know, Robert, oh God, I don't even want to think about that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there are a lot of horrible, awful, genuinely dreadful things being perpetrated against the people of the planet Earth. But man, that one is just, yeah. WWG1 says the next compartment of the train should be something more positive on a happier note. Well, you know what? WWG1, you are a fount of wisdom as always in these matters. And you know what? That's probably not a bad idea, because I think maybe it's about time to move on to a different topic. Don't get me wrong. We're going to keep an eye on this story as the days go by. But, man, yeah. Yep. All right. Tell you what. He's right. TBA says, dude, Brian, you haven't seen anything yet about how effed the evil people want us to be. Well, yeah, you're probably right about that too. Probably right about that, TBA. All right. With that said, I think we will display a few of these memes tonight. If for nothing else, for just a good old-fashioned palate cleanser, which could come in real handy. So give me a second here, folks, and I will get some of these pulled up, as always, provided to us by good folks like WWG1, the salty old fart, and Adam, our favorite Canadian, among others. One piece of advice, and I say this as much to myself as I do anyone else. Folks, go out and touch grass. Go out and smell the fresh air. Go out and breathe in some oxygen. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, Donald Trump has come out and endorsed the idea of oxygen as something that's good and healthy for everybody. And if you don't believe me, listen to Trump's own endorsement in this matter. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it is my complete honor and privilege to make this endorsement. You know, I've got along with very well with oxygen. I call it air. Some people call it O2. I call it oxygen, air. It's a beautiful thing, but I'm endorsing breathing. We love to breathe. It's a tremendous practice, in and out. I went to the doctor, and my doctor looked at me. He said, "Sir, you have the most beautiful lungs. They're so big. They're so beautiful. They inflate. They deflate. They're wonderful. In and out. Nobody's ever seen lungs like this before, sir." So I said, "Now's a beautiful day to endorse oxygen. We love breathing, right? And you have these stupid people on the left, very stupid, very sick. These are very sick people. You're not a sick person, but they're very sick people. And they're going to hear me endorse it, right? They're going to hear me say, oh, Donald Trump likes to breathe. You know who else breathed? Hitler. Hitler breathed. And they're going to hold their breath. And that's what we're hoping for. We're looking at it. So we are endorsing air. It's a tremendous thing. We want you to breathe as much of it as possible. Big, beautiful, clean air. And keep doing that. As long as you live, keep breathing that beautiful air. It's a tremendous thing to do. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump has endorsed breathing air. I mean, who knew? Who knew indeed? Hey, Zippy, how you doing? Fist bump to you, my brother. Hey, you're late, but that's all right. You're a cat. You're allowed to be. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. But yeah, Donald Trump has endorsed breathing air. There you go. Who knew that such things could happen in our time? Oh, what else do we have by way of palate cleansers? Oh, by the way, I went shopping online, and normally I don't like to shop online, but man, I got myself an absolutely You know what? You're probably right, dear. You're probably right. Oh, well, Zippy says a cat is always on time. The cat's time. It's one of their 9 lives. Okay. Very good. Very good indeed. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. Some late nights. Anyway, I went shopping recently, and man, let me tell you something. I got an absolutely fabulous, and I mean fabulous deal through Temu. I mean, look at these shoes. These are flip-flops like you wouldn't believe, man. I mean, the price on these things was great. So, look, I know everybody shops a little bit differently. Some people like to go into the store. Some people like to put their hands on the merchandise. Me, I could buy something online. Let me tell you something. Temu, man, it is the way to go. Bargain basement prices for high quality material. Let me tell you, as far as I'm concerned, I got myself a steal. There you go. There you go. Oh, good. I got to thank Adam for that one. Anyway. You heard about Cracker Barrel reversing themselves on their logo, right? Well, hey, we managed to save Cracker Barrel, but I tell you what, folks, now is the time to always be vigilant, because if we don't, first it was Cracker Barrel, then it was Land O'Lakes. Next, it'll be this guy. We're going to protect him and the dog, no matter what. No matter what, we're protecting everybody. Period. Because some things in life are sacred. They need to be protected. So there you go. Watch out for your Cracker Jacks. Watch out for your Cracker Jacks. Oh, let's see. What else do we have here, folks? What else do we have here? My goodness. Oh, hey. Did you guys hear the big news coming out of the WNBA? They have figured out who has been financing and distributing all these green dildos that are getting thrown on the basketball court. Now, don't get me wrong. They've caught some of the actual perpetrators doing the throwing. But apparently, this thing is a giant conspiracy. And after a certain amount of investigation by the WNBA and other law enforcement officials, they have finally figured out who it is that has been financing, distributing, coercing, or bribing individuals into throwing these green dildos all over the basketball court. And I tell you what, I am not going to lie. I was surprised, but then again, I wasn't when I found out this guy right here. Yeah, he's the culprit. Travis Kelce, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your perpetrator right here. Right here. Absolutely. I knew somebody was behind all this, and I maybe had a little bit of suspicion it might be him. But when the WNBA nailed this one to the floor, I was like, yep, there's no getting around it. This green dildo thing is a Travis Kelce special. Told you. I told you. TBA says we need more lime green dildos being thrown. Look, what you guys do over there in the Rumble chat, I cannot control. But for the love of God, do you realize how much of a mess it is for me to sweep up those lime green dildos after you get done throwing them around at the end of the live stream? Can you guys please put it under control over there? Well, Lana, honey, you may be right. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Now, Robert, we don't know if Travis Kelce is concealing a lime green dildo in that pic. Now, come on now, let's be fair. Besides, everybody knows his favorite color is purple. So look, it may not be a lime green dildo. We don't know. Purple maybe, but not lime green. Okay. Now that we got that straightened out. All right. What else is going on here? Oh, goodness me. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Did you guys hear about the meeting between Donald Trump and the president of South Korea in the White House? Folks, I'll tell you something. They say that some things are lost in translation. I'm not so sure that's accurate because, the translator for the South Korean president did a really good job. If you don't believe me, check this out.
We want to say thank you, President Trump, for coming back to save the world and for being the greatest, most handsome president of all time, who also looks very sexy when he does YMCA dance. Fuck that old ass Joe Biden robot guy and the ugly woman with annoying cackle. Nobody liked that ugly bitch. Also, if you can talk to little rocket man, please tell him to stop being asshole shooting all them rockets and shit. That would be very good. Thank you for making world great again. Trump 2028 bitches. We want Daddy Trump forever up in this bitch.
Yeah, I mean, folks, I don't know about you, but wow. Apparently the South Koreans really love Trump. Yeah, Robert, you may be right, my friend. WWG1, I think this compartment of the train is much more conducive for the mood of Fedora Nation, my friend. So I thank you for the suggestion. Yes, indeed. WWG1 says, she loved Trump a long time. Who knew, man? You know, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Next Mandela effect YMCA with a Trump. God. Brenda says, thanks for the good laugh today as I became part of the Medicare. Well, happy birthday, my dear. I did not realize they dropped the age of Medicare down to 35. Well, congratulations, darling. Congratulations on your 35th birthday. We love you. All right, everybody. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday, dear Brenda. Happy birthday to you. Like I said, it's not every day you turn 35, darling. So, mwah, to you. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. All right. What else do we have in the way of these crazy memes? Hang on a second, folks. WWG says, oh my God, Brian, don't quit your day job. Thanks. Boy, the abuse I take, I tell you. Let's see. You know, people ask the question all the time. When you look at certain individuals, don't they remind you of someone? You know what? And the same has been asked a lot of Chuck Schumer lately. Well, I think people have finally figured out who it is that Chuck reminds them of. And you know what? I can't necessarily disagree with this assessment. I mean, I think Chuck's got a little more hair, but there's a strange resemblance to Gollum. I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. Oh. Anyway, folks, you know what? I tell you what. I'm going to save the rest of my topics and other things I had for tonight. We're going to save them for Saturday. Because I'm not going to lie, my energy level is not good right now for different reasons. And frankly, going through that discussion about the Minneapolis shooting is just kind of leaving me downsloping here. So I tell you what, for the sake of the live stream and everybody's night, we're going to go ahead and bring the train into the station a little bit early. I want to thank you guys for stopping by the Wednesday night newsroom. Oh yeah, I'm going to be here Saturday. I will be here Saturday. Oh, speaking of Saturday, I am so glad that you brought this up. Yeah, I agree with you. It is a melancholic kind of day. I agree. Now, folks, as a lot of you may know, this weekend opens up college football in earnest. And that is always something that makes me very, very happy. But there is one part of this college football weekend that I am getting a little bit sad about. And for those of you who watch college football, or particularly maybe you've watched ESPN over the years, you're going to recognize the gentleman that you're about to see in this picture. Okay. Let me get him pulled up here. All right. And Lee Corso has been a part of college football on Saturdays going back to 1987. Okay. This weekend will mark his very last broadcast with ESPN. Lee has been doing this since 1987 when ESPN started covering college football on the weekends. He was part of a crew that consisted of himself, Chris Berman, a handful of other people, and hosts and co-hosts have come and gone. But Lee Corso has always been there. I mean, Lee Corso is an institution when it comes to college football weekends, and particularly the show College Football Game Day. Okay. Well, over the past, call it 6-7 years, Lee has developed a lot of health problems. He had a stroke some years back. It has affected his ability to speak, but being his love of what he does, he will memorize his lines, the comments he's going to make before he ever goes out to do the show. Okay. This Saturday will mark his very last appearance on ESPN's College Game Day. He is 90 years old. He has been there since 1987. So you figure 97, 07, 17. You're talking almost 30. Well, you're talking 38 years come this Saturday. Okay. Now, look, I'm going to be doing my live stream Saturday morning. I expect you to be here. But may I recommend this? And ESPN's already been doing specials all week long leading up to Lee Corso's final appearance. Okay. But let me recommend this to you. All right. And of course, you'll be able to find it on YouTube and other places. But if you are a sentimental person and you want to be part of the long goodbye that is Lee Corso's retirement from talking about being a part of College Game Day, may I recommend that you record this Saturday's broadcast of ESPN's College Game Day? Because, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I am gonna miss Lee Corso's enthusiasm, his love for college football, his love of the fans. This guy has been so passionate about what he does. It is a joy to watch him be a part of the broadcast, even in the situation that he's in where he is not at the top of his game. You know, and yeah, that's a good Gypsy. You got a really good point. Y'all notice icons being removed, Cracker Barrel, Lee, and yeah, it's a great point, dear. Great point. But yeah, let me recommend to you, set your recorders for this Saturday. I think they start from 9 a.m. and they go all the way to 12, when Lee will give his final helmet head prediction. So yeah, this Saturday, mark it on your calendars. Lee Corso's goodbye. Anyway, we're going to be back this Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Front Porch Brunch. And yes, it is college football weekend in earnest, baby. And it's going to be a great weekend for college football. Not so much for my Marshall Thundering Herd. We're going down to Georgia to get our butts kicked for a lot of money. But anyway, you get my point. Anyway, Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m., we will be back here. Plan on joining us. So thank you again for being here. And in the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, remember, it's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money. I love you guys. Thank you very much for being here. And you guys have a great Wednesday evening.